And welcome back to What's Buzzin'.
Hello.
Awesome guests.
We had
Brianna, who I'm telling you, she's just so inspiring.
She's
done
very
incredible
inspiring.
work.
Yep.
And Archie was just, can't go wrong. I mean, there's a dog
in the studio.
It's a win-win.
It's a win.
To wrap up the show, we've got our Buzzin' stories, our new The Rapid Buzz. That's where we keep you in the loop, tell you what's buzzing in less than 10 minutes.
Yep.
What do we want to start with, Kim? This one is just...
very gross, honestly, to be quite honest with you. If you've ever taken a flight and you've had airline food, you know airline food is not always the best. Sometimes you'll get something and it's like amazing, and then sometimes you'll get something like
very rare, but
like a live mouse jumping out of your food.
Yeah, do you want to say that one more time just in case?
A live mouse.
A live mouse, yeah.
It was alive.
So this was on a flight, and basically it was from Oslo to Spain, and it was in a girl's food.
It made it an emergency landing because a passenger had found a live mouse in his meal.
Imagine.
And they said that they had to stop the plane because of rodents chewing electrical wire. And I'm like, that's one thing to make an emergency stop for that, but also, why didn't you check the food?
And the thing for me, that's my thought. It was never addressed in any of the articles as to why there was a mouse in someone's food. It addressed that it was very clearly a safety concern and very clearly, it's not edible in food. So I get that. But at the same time, they never addressed as to why there was a mouse.
Well, I don't think they would address that.
You would flip, though.
I would lose my mind. I would be so sick. Like, imagine you're ready to eat your meal or whatever. It's the first meal you've had on this plane, and you open it up, and an actual mouse jumps out of your. I've had
and what a way to start a vacation.
I've had like hair in my food sometimes when I go to restaurants. I've had like a bug. Actually, I've full on had a bug in my food, and that made me lose my mind. It was dead.
I could picture you
this is a live.
Flipping.
Well, this person says that, imagine you're sitting next to this person, they open up their meal and a live mouse jumps up and you have to fix your pants so it doesn't crawl up your leg.
All I can say, I'm glad you weren't sitting. And I mean this, and I talked about this on the first show. Cameron would lose her mind if there was a mouse that would just hop out, especially if you were getting ready for a nice vacation with your boyfriend. You would lose your mind.
I like animals. I like mice, but not in my food. I'd probably have a panic attack and then start crying, most likely.
On a lighter end?
Most likely, yell at everybody on the airline, too.
On a lighter end, story number 2. This one's great, and you bought a little souvenir.
I did, actually, to show that I do love Pokemon.
Yes.
This story is actually about if you
got a kid at home that loves Pokemon?
If you got a kid at home that loves Pokemon, you're going to love this story.
And if they beg you for Pokemon and you're like, no, don't do it, you're going to want to this time.
So, you know that as Pokemon is a collectible game, you can collect the Pokemon cards, and certain cards are actually worth an extreme amount of money. And people collect them for a living, and sometimes in packs you'll get a certain card that will be worth a significant
So what
amount.
happened was there was this boyfriend that has been collecting cards since he was a kid, and his mom would buy him cards, and he was that one that was always like, Mom, buy me cards, I want more Pokemon cards, and she'd be like, no, they're useless, they're just cards.
Yep.
And then years later he's been collecting these, and he has a binder of thousands of cards, and then one time he looked through it, you can see it on our screen right now, he's looking through it, and all of a sudden he finds out there's this app that can scan cards to find out how much money you can make from these cards. So he used a scanner, you can see him using it right now, and found out it was worth how much, Cameron?
How much?
$5,000. So he had all these cards ready to go. He would, what are you gonna do with them, right? He just thought they were keepsakes.
Yep.
And then he got the scanner and his girlfriend's like, hey, just use it. It was just one of those people, I feel like you did the same thing. You'd be like, Austin, just do it.
I used to collect Pokemon cards when I was young. I'm a big fan of Pokemon, as you can probably tell.
You're the mascot today.
It actually doesn't surprise me how much that this card was worth, though, to be very honest with you, because it is a niche. Pokemon is
and they're a big deal.
It is a huge franchise.
They're a huge deal.
this like $5,000, that does not surprise me, but it's actually kind of wild. Like,
and people
imagine,
will say it's not that much, but at the end of the day, for cards that you would have kept in storage, it's a good chunk of money.
and he kept them safe in a little like binder too, and that's what people who are really into Pokemon
Which is making me
card
regret, because
collecting.
I did the same thing, and I had Yu-Gi-Oh cards. That was another type of trading in school,
Yep.
and I chucked those out once you graduate grade 8, because you're like, I'm never gonna need them, right? But
You don't play
don't think
Pokemon, do
you
you?
know.
No, I was gonna ask
My
him
Aunt
what
Tanya
his
does.
favorite Pokemon is, but I'm not even gonna bother.
you already know. She knows me enough that, and she's already yelled at me enough today, so it's just, that's it. All right, our last story number 3 of the Rapid Buzz. I think this is good for you. If you're looking to plan an
me?
engagement, or you're wanting to marry the person that you're with, which I'm sure for you that's the goal, you might want to try this.
Yeah, it's definitely the goal
A
for me.
lobster claw. We gotta open this up. Hannah, what's the
I
headline?
have it up here. A restaurant in Boston called Polly's North End is selling $10,000 engagement lobster rolls.
Yeah.
You heard me right. It's
on
up
your
there right
screen.
now. There is the ring in that giant lobster roll. They're actually selling these for $10K. So I'm assuming it's ring included.
Oh, yeah.
So ring included,
I would
lobster
hope
roll
so.
included. So if you're spontaneous one day and you're like, you know what, I think I'm gonna propose to my girlfriend today. Let's take her to this restaurant, get some seafood, and get the $10K lobster roll.
Would
you can
you
get
do
a
this?
ring. No.
No?
I'm not a big fan of seafood. I'm gonna be
That's
very
what I was
plain.
gonna say. If you love lobster, totally up
Also,
your alley.
I feel like every young girl has had it in their mind and envisioned exactly what they want their engagement to look like. Mine is not included with seafood. Gonna be real.
Yes.
But I think this is a very interesting idea. I don't necessarily
You can always, give it
think
a
it's
shot.
bad. Like if
But you gotta love seafood.
you gotta love seafood, and if you're a
Yes.
lobster roll lover, I think it's kind of funny. Like I think it's a
It's
pretty
something
funny
new,
idea.
right? You're used to seeing the regular proposals where, I mean, not regular, but it's just your typical proposal, so this
Yeah.
is a different way.
Yeah, TV.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
hanging
so
out.
much for joining us.
Same time, same spot next Wednesday, 8 p.m. on Rogers TV.